Hello, everyone, and welcome now as we are approaching the final stretch of these 40 chapters being read across the 40 days of Lent. Today is day 29, and once more, for those that uh, stay gripping the edge of your seat, anticipating these videos to be sent to you by 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. at the latest. Again, we have a quite a tardy video today. However, we have been in a sequence wherein the tabernacle, the antecedent of the later temple, the has been the design, the features, architecture, all of these things have been presented in quite a detailed fashion. We've tried to look at the macro picture of this, and the idea is that the worship and the ways and means of worship is quite important in the Hebrew Testament, and we've even discussed at brief some of the implications for our Christian paradigm. And so, after the tabernacle and its various vessels and compartments have been described, now comes the consecration of Aaron and his sons into the priesthood. Again, the function of the priest is a go between of God and his covenant people. And in fact, I've expressed, and perhaps I haven't uh, articulated this in any kind of developed fashion, but I've often said, in a sense, the entire covenant people of Israel serve as a model of priesthood to all of God's creation, to all of the world. And then, of course, within that covenant community of Israel, here are the specific priests, these that go between. Once more, it's not that these individuals have any higher degree of quality of worth, but rather their function is a higher quality. And so this is why there are these details about the way that these priests are going to be consecrated. There's going to be a bull and two rams without a blemish. There's going to be cakes that are made with specific oil and flour. There's going to be Aaron and his sons. They're going to be washed with water. They're going to have these specific garments. There is going to be the bull that is slain on the altar. Specific instructions about what to be done with the meat, the entrails, even the skin of the bull. The same thing goes for the ram, and even the a mandate regarding the aroma that ends up rising from these from these animals, from the rams. And even interestingly, there's this liturgical act where the blood of the ram is placed on the earlobe of Aaron and his sons as part of this liturgical act of consecrating the priest. Through the chapter, um, there's specifics of what to do with the ram, the liver, the kidneys, the fat, the right thigh, and things of that nature. The bread that was baked, and how that is to be done as well. These various offerings and so forth. And even from one of the rams, the meat is given to the priest to eat, along with that cake, that special bread that was made. But if any was left over, then it has to be burned up and destroyed the following day. There's a variety of offerings that are set up for a variety of different functions that occur. And then there's supposed to be these two lambs that are a year old. One that is going to be sacrificed on the altar every day. One in the morning at sunrise, and the other at sundown. I mean, in this lengthy chapter here, there's a variety of instructions. Um, the instructions, the various sacrifices and offerings, they all represent something. And here the priests are the conduits for that. And so there's this big deal made of the consecration because by virtue of their vocation, they serve as reminders of holiness, even though as individuals, really they are no more distinct than anyone else. This as self-serving as the statement may be, nevertheless, I think that it's always helpful for the church to remember a couple of things. I want to make one statement, but I'll preempt that by making another statement as well. I don't think that I think it's very romantic to think that the contemporary office of the pastor and the various ones that serve in a liturgical vocation are as sacred as that in the Old Testament, but I really don't think so. Um, it's the idea within the New Testament is that the sacred vocation is extended to all the Christians. And so it's everybody becomes sacred priests in that regard. However, even if one is to insist that those, such as pastors today, serve in a sacred vocation, there is a certain sacredness in my vocation, something to be taken seriously, no doubt about it. However, it's not that the individual, it's not that I myself am holy or sacred. It's the function, the works, and the actions that I perform is very sacred. And so, I'm very serious when I am performing my vocation. That is what is holy and sacred and very uniquely set apart. And so, as this chapter continues and ends, that there is a drink offering, and by verse 42 here in the concluding 5 verses, that the purpose of all of this is articulated. There's a regular burnt offerings throughout the generations there where God is going to meet the people there. And there where God is going to dwell in that tabernacle. And the one in verse 46, the final verse, that brought them out of Egypt, that I may reside with them. I am the Lord their God. So the purpose in all of this is expressed briefly, but very powerfully and potently. The people had resided in Egypt as aliens in a powerful, dominant culture. Now what's going to happen is the people are dwelling, but not independently, but they are dwelling with God in their midst, independently of any kind of function of any outside imperial control. But yet it's important. Now Pharaoh is being replaced by God. And the idea here is, well, when God is going to reside with you, okay, God's not going to be visible, and so what we need are visible reminders of invisible realities. Remember that. That's what we need. And so this is in our Christian paradigm that this is why we participate in the functions of the sacrament, both the Eucharist and the christening and baptism. They are visible reminders of invisible realities, and people, we need that. It is why we incorporate other forms of symbology in our practice. And so the people might want to remember that their God is dwelling with them. He has supplanted Pharaoh. And so all of this that occurs to support the tabernacle, including its priest, including the various offerings, the lambs, the rams, the bulls, and all of this, really is to remind the people that God is there. And it's a good reminder, lest we forget. I'll close with this very brief pastoral homiletical statement. It's we grow prone to thinking that God is absent, that God is apart from his creation. This occurred in the age of the Epicurean philosophers of Greece. It occurred in the post-Enlightenment age of the history of the West and Europe and North America, whereas a variety of prominent thought came forth that said, hey, if there is a God, then God is detached from creation. And then we have times that this idea makes its way even into the church. In times of catastrophe, of casualty. I remember during the height of the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic, there it being preached and taught and stated, overstated, God's mad, he's done, he's angry, he's finished with us, he's gone. It's easy to believe that, I suppose, especially to those that are not experiencing God. The idea in the New Testament is that when the Holy Spirit is dispatched to the earth, God is there, but not merely in a tabernacle, but God is everywhere. So God is more associated and connected to his creation now, in a sense, than ever before, and somehow we get it backwards. And when we start with a backward perspective, our point of view is going to misinform us about a variety of things. So, what are our reminders today that God dwells with us? We have the Holy Spirit as Christians. Our communion with the Spirit ought to be adequate enough. But moreover, our communion with one another, our communion in the church, not just referring to the sacramental side of communion, but the sacrament of communion, the table, which represents our communion with God and one another when we come to church. It is a visible reminder of God's great and powerful and mighty works on earth as it is in heaven. And so, in a sense, that is how we become tabernacle people, as it were, remembering that God dwells with us. All right, if there's any questions or any comments, anything like that, hit me up, please. Thank you for enduring this long video. I'll meet you again tomorrow.